Hello, welcome to Movement Not Miracles. I am Anna from Eat, Move, Be Happy, soon to be joined by Martha. She's just on her way over, which is quite normal. She obviously has an inner clock. She knows when it's Movement Not Miracles time and she comes to say hello. You could probably demonstrate some of these today better than me, Martha, but hey, there we'll go, we'll carry on. So Movement Not Miracles is your bite-sized version of some ideas to help keep you moving, keep your joints moving, keep your joints healthier, because avoid them stiffening up, and some stretches to work through some of your muscles to help keep your joints healthy. So things that you can do every day, regularly, to avoid some of those aches and pains that we can get when we get stiffer because we've been sitting still for long periods of time. So having a better posture is just generally better for us. So today I'm following a theme that we started in Get Moving earlier this morning. We'd had a request for what can we do to keep our backs mobile. And if you are a regular to Movement Not Miracles, you will know that I have looked at different ways of keeping our backs mobile. So it's not new to us. However, it's a particularly good one for us to revisit. And my back's feeling a bit stiff today, so it's also going to be useful for me. So, mobilizing our backs. You can do most of these seated or standing. There are some versions on the floor, but I'll try and show you a version that you can do away from the floor if you find getting down to the floor more difficult. And we're going to start off with a good old favourite, a really simple move that we can do to get our upper back and our posture moving, shoulder rolls. So, and we can do these anywhere. It really doesn't matter. And even if we did just a few regularly, it's better than not doing them at all. So if you are seated or standing, I'm going to do mine standing just because I've been sitting down for a while this morning. So we are going to roll our shoulders back and down. I'm going to show you from behind so you can see, hopefully, my shoulder blades moving and the lines on my top changing as you squeeze your shoulder blades together. So your shoulders come up and back and down, and your shoulder blades should be moving on your back. And then if you increase the move by introducing the arms, again you should see my shoulder blades moving. Also notice that my bottom isn't sticking out, so I'm not letting this happen as I'm moving. I'm keeping everything solid from my waist down, working through my bum and my core to stabilise the rest of my body. So arms come back and down. Keep breathing whilst you move. My shoulders are a little stiff, so you might be able to get your arms a little bit further back than me, and that's absolutely fine. Do as big a move as you can do and aim for as much movement through those shoulder blades as you can. And a nice big stretch across the chest as your arms come back and down. And in fact, if we just take our hands behind our back, rest them in the base of your spine, and think of shoulders back and down and stretch across the front of our chest. And so feeling a nice big stretch across the front of your chest, it's really easy if we're sitting in that hunch position for these muscles to tighten, to shorten, which means it's harder to get a stretch across our chest and for our shoulders to move back and down. So posture is all about the balance between our joints and our muscles and the position of everything. And if our muscles are pulling everything forwards, it's going to be really difficult to get that sort of an action. So stretching across your chest also helps with mobility in your back. So we've done a bit of mobilisation for our shoulders. Feet a little bit wider helps me with this next one, my side bends, so the bendianas. So, and we're going to go for mobility to start off with. So just reaching, I am a little bit stiff today. So just reaching down side to side, and you can do these seated as well. And hopefully, as you do a little bit more movement, you're going to get a little bit further, moving the spine in that sideways motion. And then we're going to increase by stretching up and then stretching over. Now, as ever, if I show you from the side, we're trying to keep everything in that single plane. So when you reach over, we're not reaching forwards and bending, we're reaching to the side. So we're going for that sideways movement rather than a forwards and a backwards movement. So reaching up with one arm if you can, and down with the other. Don't forget to keep breathing. It's really easy to hold our breath when we're concentrating on something else, but it's not good for us to hold our breath. And plus, if you're breathing, you're more likely to be able to relax through the rest of your body, which means you're more likely to get a little bit more movement. One more on this side. So a different version of the side bend now, and we're just going to try and work through our upper thoracic. So trying to keep everything still from sort of bottom of the ribs down. So as I said before, think of gripping through your tummy. So if you poke at your tummy muscles, they should be working, so they should be contracting, and gripping through the muscles in your bottom so that your bum isn't sticking out, it's tucked under. Can you see the difference? So bottom tucked under, working through your glutes and your abs. And if you put your hands behind your head and keeping that lower half stable with just aiming the elbow towards the floor. So it's just the upper part of our back that's moving. This is the bit that for most of us is harder to access. When we do side bends, it's usually the mid and the lower area of our spine that moves, and that's designed to move more, so that's okay. But actually our upper back, the upper thoracic region, the bit in between our shoulder blades, if you're anything like me, that's the bit that aches because it does get stiffer. So just focusing on that part with what I call them elephant ears, so keeping your elbows back and just that sideways bend. A bit of a tactical shoulder roll. Can just access that upper back a little bit more. What's next on my list? So we're going to do a forward bend now, using the wall or a work surface. So you're going to feel some stretch down the back of your legs. And the purpose of, if you're seated, you can still do this. If you imagine I'm sitting in a chair, so sitting nice and tall, and you're thinking of keeping your bottom back and bending forwards to rest your chest, hello Martha, onto your thigh. So we're trying to elongate through the spine. If you can do this standing, you can use, I'm going to use my radiator. I don't know whether the angle is going to be right. So your bottom goes backwards. You can't really see, my back is nice and flat. I need to be doing it from a different angle really. Let's try it this way, I'll use the wall. So hands onto a work surface, or you can use a wall like I'm using. So bottom goes back, but we're still trying to keep that pelvis tilted under. So we don't want a big arch in our lower back. So I think of, as you bend forwards, pushing your bottom backwards and bringing your chest forwards, placing your hands onto the wall and pushing your chest down in between your arms. So you're getting some movement through your shoulders. Don't forget to breathe. You will feel some stretch in your legs, the back of your legs, if you're doing this from standing. Okay, I quite like, it gives me a different range of movement in my upper thoracic, because you can brace against the hard surface. You can get more movement through, or I can get more movement through my shoulders. Cat camel, looking at the next one on my list. So imagine, I'm going to show you this one kneeling, but imagine that I was standing up. It's just a better angle for you. So you can do this one so that if you are seated. So clasping your hands together and reaching your arms forward as far as you can, and letting your chin just drop to your chest. And you should feel a nice big stretch through the muscles in your upper back. And then pulling your arms back into your shoulders and letting your back arch. You don't get as much movement through the arch in your back as doing this one on the floor, but if you can see the angle. So I'm nice and rounded. I think Martha wants to get out. What do you reckon? Nice and rounded here, reaching forwards as far as I can with my arms. Chin relaxed on my chest. And then pull your arms back into your shoulders and arching the other way. I'm just going to let Martha out. There we go. And then we get some peace. So another version of this one is if you use all fours. So again, hands underneath your shoulders and you arch all the way up. Imagine sucking your belly button in towards the back of your spine and rounding your back up towards the ceiling. And then reversing that, letting your belly sag down towards the floor, so that you've got a forwards and a backwards movement of the spine. Nice and controlled. Keep breathing all the way through. So there's no jerky movements. It's a nice smooth movement. I'm just encouraging some forward and backwards movement through that spine. Once more. Belly down to the floor, and again you're squeezing your shoulder blades together here and moving them apart when you stretch up. You see the difference. Okay, and then finally a twist. So you can do a seated twist, sitting in the chair, hand across your thigh and getting hold of the back of the chair, sitting nice and tall and twisting your chest round. They are perfect for twisting. I'm going to show you a slightly different version that you can do if you can kneel on the floor. So a bit like we did with the elephant ears. So hand behind your head. If you can, keep your bum sitting on your heels and reaching, twisting all the way around. So think of that elbow back, chest as open as you can, and then closing, moving your elbow towards the other elbow so your chest is twisting through the other way. And then again, it's another controlled movement. So we're not jerking, you're not forcing your back to move more than it wants to, but you are encouraging as much movement as you can, opening up through the chest, holding it at the top, a couple of breaths, and then relax down, and I'll show you on the other side. So bum up, move forward a bit, stays fastened onto the heels, hand behind your head, and twisting, elbow back as much as you can, and then elbow down to meet the other one. And then nice and controlled movement, keeping breathing all the way through. Last one, elbow back. Okay, so variations of how to keep your back moving so that you avoid stiffening up and avoid some of those aches and pains that you get when our vertebrae do stiffen up. we are designed to move. We are not designed to sit in the same position all of the time. So keeping your back moving regularly is a really good idea to help look after your posture and to help look after your back. So little and often is a good plan, and maybe setting some time aside to do a little bit more movement. Just not sitting still, keep getting up and walking around is a really good idea. Don't forget to check out the website www.eatmovebehappy.com for some other ideas on how you can look after your health and well-being. We have online coaching courses to help people with eating and exercise habits, some of the choices that we make, and maybe feeling a little bit more in control of those choices. There is funding available for people if you live in the Craven area. Do contact us to find out more about that. And you can also look at the archive of Movement Not Miracles for some other ideas, if it helps you to follow along, to help you keep moving. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. It looks to be not raining at the minute, so I'm off out on the moor with the dogs shortly for a little bit of a runette. I will see you tomorrow.